Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the Benson Football Channel for, I like to call it like the dream team. This is the collab of destiny. It's the one that you all ask for it, and then when we deliver it, you ask for it again. So, you know, the world that we live in, we try to please the people when other people across the world are just trying to everybody off every single day. But as always, Yanislav Ivanovic is joining me. Yann, how are you? I know you're waiting for an IKEA order, so I bet you're very excited.
Giving them a peek behind the curtain there, George. Yeah, I'm waiting for IKEA, bro. Yeah, I'm good, man. Epic, profound intro as usual. Hopefully giving the people what they want. Lots of stuff to talk about. I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. I'll be even better, you know, if these lot hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the Benson Football Channel, and check Yann's links in the description as well. That would take me from like a 9.9 out of 9 to a 10 out of 9. So we're going to discuss a few things today. This is like a very impromptu collab because, you know, Yann's got IKEA deliveries to be building. So you got to do what you got to do. We're going to talk Man United FA Cup. We're going to link that into what Frank Lampard's first season as Chelsea manager at this moment in time where there's still big things that could really define this season as an overriding success, or was it just a good season? And then we're going to look at some of these transfer rumours that are really starting to escalate now within the Chelsea online community with journalists, media, and we're going to discuss what the future actually looks like for Frank Lampard's Chelsea. So I guess before we get into any of that, Yann, is there anything that you think that hasn't been covered that we need to address from the Norwich victory, or can we just like throw that one in the bin?
Professional performance. Let's just move on. Let's move on, bro. We don't need to do it. The viewers know the deal. We've both probably commented on it before separately. I'm sure our opinions align, so we can ride off into the sunset onto the next fixture, I think.
Yeah, well, riding into the sunset's fine, but then there's also a hurricane sometimes that can appear upon the horizon, and this hurricane is the bogey team. It's Manchester United. It's the team that we've played God knows how many flipping times this season. I've lost count, and we've lost every single one of them. And they've been good, haven't they? They've been in good form. If it wasn't for Obafemi scoring a late little goal, which I loved, by the way, then Chelsea might not be looking so confident right now in the top four. Is there anything that you think may have changed within the Chelsea performances that could actually mean that despite United probably being better now than they have been all season when they've beaten us before, the way that I see the game going is that United in the past were just having to counter-attack, whereas now with the whole Bruno-Pogba combination, they're less about that and they're more about trying to control the game, which actually suits Chelsea. Do you think it'll go out that way?
It's a very good point, bro, because they absolutely slapped us about on transition. Like the 4-0, there's a lot of reputable football people that actually say Chelsea played better in terms of like philosophical and open play, yet we lost 4-0, and that was because of the style. You're right. It is different now. Bruno Fernandes, not only has he like changed the dynamic, and obviously I think Greenwood deserves a shout out as well because he's been excellent, but what Fernandes has done is he's given like new confidence to the forwards in front of him, including like Rashford and Martial, because they I heard someone say this before, so it's not my original thought, about how those forwards no longer, if they miss a chance, their heads don't drop and they don't get within themselves like Rashford or Martial, because they know loads more are coming, and that when that happens, a pressure is alleviated off you and they become more clinical, as we've seen in Rashford and Martial. Not so much Greenwood because he's just like a young gunman up and coming that's fearless, but they are a completely different side. So yeah, the difference in play is massive, and I think there's a few other things that will be in Chelsea's benefit, if you're happy for me to ramble on about those, G.
Yeah, we got all the time in the world, mate.
Well, we don't. IKEA's coming, but I'll get into it anyway. So firstly, 2 more days rest. All right, so they have been playing relatively high-octane stuff, United. They did look pretty gassed out against Saints. They do have to play again before we play. And although they're still going to be a massive threat, I think they will be relatively gassed out. And I think massive for Chelsea is N'Golo Kante in this particular fixture, because we're so vulnerable on transition. Having him there mopping up, the likes of Fernandes in the number 10, he'll hopefully dispossess Fernandes. And for Liverpool or whatever, Kante doesn't need to be fit again, because I know Billy Gilmore's injured, but we didn't need so much more of someone that mops up against Liverpool, just someone who can move the ball quickly. So I think Kante would be huge, hoping they're knackered, and kind of look at Southampton as the blueprint in what they've done. But yeah, man, like you said, bogey team, the PE teacher at the eye of the hurricane, and if we beat them, then all the other games are forgiven, because it's not like they won the Carabao Cup anyway, so that was like a nothing loss ultimately. And if doing the double over us in the league, that's fine if it takes you from 5th to 5th, and then the game really and then the game that really does count, the FA Cup semi-final, will ultimately take bragging rights off them.
That is a good point.
And there you go. So, and
I mean,
hopefully,
the best thing I like about what you've just said is there's other like Premier League clubs where fan channels are like in a bit of a raucous scenario at the moment, whereas the Chelsea fans, like, we're just the kings of the banter, I think, at this point, which is lovely. But as for Bruno, Mr. Fernandes, he's got, I think it's as many goal involvements in European football since he signed for United as Messi, or just under Messi, or something ridiculous like that. And you mentioned N'Golo Kante kind of being like the diffuser, if Bruno's that bomb. We're using a lot of metaphors in this video today. But I think
I like it.
N'Golo Kante is, again, the key player that I was actually going to bring up. But Yann and I don't discuss what we're going to say before we actually turn on the camera and start filming these. N'Golo Kante, I think, obviously it was 4 years ago today that he signed for the Blues, which is amazing, and it's been 4 beautiful years. And I go as far as to say one of the bargain signings of the Abramovich era in terms of the influence he's had on the way that we play. Do you think we're going to see players such as maybe Mason Mount come back in? Do you expect Ruben's going to start again? Don't go through the whole lineup. I think the midfield is the key battle in this one for Chelsea. Would you go with a pivot with Kante and someone else, or are you going with the 3?
Go with the 3. I think he won't want to go with a double pivot because we haven't played it much recently and it'll be too unfamiliar. I think he'll go with Kante because of the reasons we've discussed. He won't start Ruben Loftus-Cheek because although recently he did that deft assist a couple of games ago to Tammy, he's not back at his powers enough to trust him in this, and obviously he's already got a start. He'll be knackered in terms of his reintegration into football. It's not complete yet. So it will be, I reckon Mason Mount has been rested for this game for a high-octane press rather. So Mason Mount and N'Golo Kante, and if fit, I think he'll trust the slick ball carrying skills and more defensive attributes of Mateo Kovacic, and that would probably complete my midfield 3 personally. I think.
I mean, I don't want to be boring and just say, Yann, I agree with you. I'd love to come with like some sort of logical reason as to why I don't. But
I'm just always right, George. So that's the thing.
It is very true. It's why you should go and subscribe to Yann if you haven't already. Apart from me just plugging the hell out of all of our stuff for the entire video, Yann does know what he's talking about. Ding, ding, bloody ding. Jorginho, before we move away from United, I was excited pre-Norwich for Jorginho. I thought this was the kind of game where, because we dominate possession, he'd be able to get a foothold in things, he'd be able to pull the strings. And it was like, it was, again, super underwhelming. Do you feel as though his head has kind of dropped in the sense that he knows that Frank doesn't see him as like one of the king figures in this Chelsea team moving forward? Do you think it's like the door's about to close on Jorginho's Chelsea career?
It does feel like that, man. It wasn't. I mean, didn't he start the Sheffield game as well, the 3-0 loss as well? I'm pretty sure. So because he came on the game before against Palace and he calmed everything down, and everyone was like, "Yeah, Jorginho, he's still here. He's like the sensible mind. He's like, it almost made Frank look a bit silly, like bringing Jorginho on and him doing really well for a while. And then there was the Sheffield demolition. There was like, oh yeah, nothing too special. I'm a fan of Jorginho. Like I do quite like how I'm not one of these like sorry bots from Twitter that think he's the be all and end all, but I do quite like him. He's a very much like a sort of nouveau like specialist player. He genuinely is in terms of how he can release the ball, and in a particular system he's invaluable. But for what Frank wants to do, quite clearly, isn't that important, to be honest. Frank likes the basics. He can do the basics, but Frank also likes getting stuck in, winning headers, making a tackle. The stuff that Billy Gilmore does on top of being a fast metronomic passer. So I think he valued Jorginho's voice, his leadership skills. Frank's come out recently and said he's basically got the arse massively because no one talks. We know the great Chelsea teams of the past. You had Ballack, Lampard, Terry all commanding, and everyone's quiet in this Chelsea team. There's a reason why he made Jorginho vice captain immediately, because he's right, well, you're shouting at everyone, telling them what to do. We need a bit of that. But leadership might be at a premium, but still playing really well in the way you want him to is still a priority. Yeah. So I think something has gone on behind the scenes. I just got this feeling that whether it's his agent or him or just something, that even if Jorginho is training really, really well and professionally, I think something is annoyed Lampard, and I think we might see him leave, really.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree, again, boringly, but let's just play devil's advocate here. I make Chelsea News videos, you make Chelsea News videos. We talk a lot about speculative signings. You talk about Havertz. We're talking potentially Oblak, and those rumours keep going around the little hamster wheel. But in terms of, let's just say that Jorginho does leave, and we talk about vice captain, leadership. Frank doesn't want he wants people to be shouting more on the pitch and actually talking to one another to get things done. If we do lose Jorginho, from all the players that I'm seeing us linked with at the moment, I don't see anybody in there who kind of has that verbal influence at the clubs they're currently at. Do you think it could be one of those for Chelsea where at the moment we're being linked with some very, very good players, but it's kind of, we're building something for maybe 2 or 3 years? And I don't want to, I'm always the optimist, you know that. If we're signing these young talented players to build upon what's already a young talented squad, are we going to be missing the ball if we don't buy someone who's mid-20s, maybe late 20s, to actually come in and do that Jorginho role? Who do you think that could be, if anybody, if Jorginho does go?
It's interesting that you say that, because it's kind of a two parts to that question, because someone to be a true commander and influencer on the pitch, you don't have to be English or a Premier League player, but that's certainly going to help, right? Yeah. Because Jorginho's great, he's a character, he's still not fluent in English, but Oblak, he's a big, I think he's the captain of Atletico Madrid at the moment, and he's obviously a bit more senior, and your goalkeeper can command a lot, so there is maybe something to that. But it's difficult because I know we've been linked to Declan Rice, who I actually think would be a sensible signing. He's captained West Ham to a victory over Chelsea that was very vocal and commanding. Obviously, being an English lad, he's fluent in English, and people have seen him, he'll know what the opposition is. I've spoken about this on my channel. He could be like, Mason, you go there because so-and-so on the other team does this. Do it now. Bringing in a cultured European player, not only are they not probably going to be fluent in English, they're not going to know each individual player from the opposition and have the confidence to command his own teammates that he's just dropped into to tell them what's what. But if it is a Premier League proven player that comes in, that has captain qualities, that's why a little bit I like Declan Rice. Of course, he's still just a kid, but it's such a difficult one, George, because it's such a risk bringing it. This is why Virgil van Dijk was so good for Liverpool, because he was already a Premier League proven player that was fluent in English, that was a Titanic character in English football already. They didn't bring him in as some Dutch centre half from whichever league, and there was so much. Liverpool identified that, and that cost them loads of money. The same money that would cost us to buy Kai Havertz. So Frank, sadly I don't have the answer for you, mate. I can highlight more problems and talk about why it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's deal with hypothetical things before the IKEA man turns his back and goes back to blooming IKEA. So let's just say we do sign Declan Rice. Obviously, all of these transfer rumours, it's what if this, what if that. Let's say Declan Rice is a Chelsea player come the start of next season. Which centre back who's currently at the club would partner him as first choice?
Oh, I thought you were saying who was going to go. I would like. I'd like Zuma because he wins headers. He wins aerial duels, and apparently other centre-backs don't do that. You know, Christensen just rarely does it. Tomori is an excellent footballer, and I think he could be massive for us in the future.
Yeah.
As do, I think, Ampadu for different reasons. Because I won't go through their traits, but I really like them. But Zuma, he's been hot and cold for us. But the one thing he's done, like he was winning headers next to John Terry. Now, John Terry wasn't the tallest, but he'd always win a header. And some of his aura just got into Zuma. And, you know, the physicality, winning headers, and also he likes to put it in row Z, like row Z. I've got no problem with that at all. I like that. So, you know, you put someone next, like Declan Rice, who can pick a pass next to him, who's going to command people. I quite like that, potentially. It's not like the superstar fix-everything signing, but I'm just taking a breath, taking a step back, looking at everything and thinking, I know he's not a left footer, I know he's not a superstar from Europe, but it could really suit the weaknesses in this Chelsea side, and that's probably what I'd go for, mate. I reckon. Yeah,
it's kind of like it kind of kills two birds with one stone with the Frank Lampard project, which is what I really wanted to touch upon in the video. It's like, we know that Frank is trying to build a very young team, that Chelsea are kind of becoming like, in the past we've been the unlikable team that unless you're a Chelsea fan, like no one likes us, everyone hates us kind of thing, which is wonderful. But like what we've become is the team that everybody secretly wants to do well, I think, because of this like homegrown thing, because of the young players, because of the opportunity that's been made. And I think Declan Rice, he not only like he's got Chelsea blood inside of him, which is absolutely wonderful, but he is also a leader already. And I think when you're 21, I think Declan Rice is 21, right?
Yeah, I think so.
When you're 21 years old and you're already captaining, like, I mean, West Ham, they're a big club. Like, let's not argue about it. They're not the biggest, but they're a big club. And he is doing very well in that role. Like, the fact that, you know, he's not always captain. Mark Noble, like, he'll be West Ham captain until the cows come home. But, like, you know, Declan Rice...
when he's not on the pitch,
Yeah, and I think, again, like, what we've seen with Ziyech, what we see with Werner, is that these are signings that fit so many different moulds of what Frank could potentially want his Chelsea to look like. Like, Werner could be a striker, Werner could be a winger, Ziyech could be a central midfielder, he could be a winger, he could even play in a number 10. Like, Declan Rice is also that guy, where it's like, okay, well, Jorginho leaves. Maybe Declan Rice plays in front of the defence and we sign another centre-back. I think he is that player, again, that just offers a lot of different variables. And I think that, you know, what Frank is doing right now is creating a diverse Chelsea team where we can play wing backs, we can play with a pivot, we can play with a 4-3-3. So what is realistic? I know it's kind of like a dull question to say, like, what more do Chelsea need other than Ziyech and Werner? In your opinion, like, how many players do you think we need to improve the first 11 so that next season we're challenging Liverpool?
Thing is, we're really not that far off, mate, to be honest, as it is. You know, I do think Kepa gets a rough ride because there's something to do with there's a lot to say about continuity of centre halves in front of you that actually makes the goalkeeper sail. So I don't think it's all on him, but at the same time I do think if we get someone like Oblak, you supercharge this team immediately for a bunch of reasons. I hate to say it, I do think there needs to be a psychological shift in this Chelsea team. You know, there is a mentality thing that needs to be. Frank Lampard's looking at it, you know, it's Jose Mourinho Mark II said it, Conte, Sarri, and now Lampard, they're all making these similar noises, how they don't like this sort of like, there's like a lurking kind of like, not negativity, but almost like a weird, it's just not proper Chelsea. You know, this recent inferiority complex against Manchester United, losing 3 times, you know, it's a psychological thing. Something like that needs to be addressed. Personnel, we've got a good team, we've got a good midfield, we've got a superb attack. We don't need Kai Havertz. It's just a massive opportunity that would be dumb to turn down because we can capitalise in the situation we're in. I'm all for it, man. I'm jumping aboard. We don't need him. We get a left back, you know, we get a centre half. Chelsea haven't got bad centre backs. Everyone knows that it's just a chemistry thing. They're like, we need like a commanding one. The team isn't that far off at all. It's just a bit of character that needs to be brought in, you know. bring in, but that could be in Ziyech. Ziyech, if he's doing what Fernandes is doing and making chance after chance after chance, you drop Werner in, between all the rest of our forwards, we're going to start scoring goals.
Oh yes,
that builds that builds confidence. And then maybe the defence feels more confident because they've got less pressure on them to defend the 1-goal lead as Chelsea have been in recently.
Yeah.
So I think personally, George, it's almost like it needs like some sort of paradigm shift in this Chelsea team. It needs to be a psychological.
Damn, we're going deep.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Just like wake up, like, oh yeah, we're good. Like what happened to Liverpool? Chelsea are like Liverpool 4 years ago, and then like 2 years ago they were like, oh no, we're really good and we're just going to win.
You know what? I absolutely agree, and I think if you look at the parallels between that, if you didn't understand the interlude of what's just been going on in the conversations we've just been having, Yann's SD card died. Like this is the thing that happens when you make YouTube videos. Basically, what I was going to say was I'm seeing parallels as well between like maybe Liverpool, Brendan Rodgers, where they played like possession football, where they were dominating going forward, but then there've been mistakes and they conceded a load of goals at the back, and then all of a sudden, click of a switch, Jurgen Klopp comes in, doesn't quite necessarily click straight away, but it's like he saw something that was like, okay, we've got this, we've got that, we've got this, we've got that. Yes, okay, they sold Suarez, they sold Coutinho, but the mould was there, the style was there already. Lampard has probably seen something very similar to that. Yeah. And it's like the benefit that Chelsea have is that not only can we identify these weaknesses and financially have the muscle to go out and do it, but there's also that added caveat of, okay, we've actually got very strong finances right now, so not only can we fix these issues, but we can start buying very, very good players to bolster the squad moving forward on top of what was actually needed. So I think, like, give it 2 years and Lampard will have won 1 Premier League trophy. I'm so convinced about that.
Woo! Yeah, I like it. I'm on board. There's so many parallels that could be drawn between Chelsea or Lampard and Klopp when they arrived at Liverpool and Chelsea respectively. Obviously Klopp had won like a league title and all this kind of, or a couple of league titles. Anyway, he'd like won stuff. Lampard hasn't, but they both have a similar philosophy. They both got similar issues and teething problems in the Premier League, and hopefully Lampard can follow suit and we can do well, man. So yeah, fingers crossed for that. But it's going to be a wild time, man, and all I can say is for the moment, for morale, for this positive switch in the psychological issue we've spoke of, we slap about that PE teacher on the weekend, and who knows, we could still win a trophy this season, big man. It can happen.
It would be absolutely huge. I think we've got a good chance. I think the key thing we focused on is how United's play now is very different to the way they've beaten us before, and I think they won't go back to what they did against Chelsea earlier this season just because of this like 3 in a row thing that they think they've got over us. So there's a lot of like little psychological things that we've spoken about in today's video, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it in depth in the comments down below. Pick some of the points that Yann and I have spoken about and let us know exactly what it is you think about it. But Yann, as always, mate, we've been rocking and rolling for 20 plus minutes, and I know that you've got cupboards to make. So I won't keep you for any longer, but is there anything you want to say before we wrap this up and bugger off home?
Pretty much, that's it. Nothing really, mate. I mean, if we do lose on the weekend, I'll probably delete my Twitter. But other than that, hopefully some of you guys follow me on Football Therapy. But I'd like to take this opportunity to quickly plug Yann's Yard, which is my second YouTube channel, where it's a little bit more personal and vlog style and a lot of non-football stuff. A lot of people are enjoying it, but I want to expand the platform, so I'm going to use this opportunity, leech of George's channel, and say subscribe to Yann's Yard.
You know what I might do? I might just whack a mid-roll ad in just before you say. No, I'm joking. You guys should definitely go and follow both of Yann's channels. Links in the description. While you're at it, you can go and follow me on Instagram. I post pictures of me like trying to look cool and stuff like that. Twitter, I just talk a load of nonsense about football. It's standard. You guys know the drill. But anyway, let's just shoot for 6,000 likes. You're a bunch of legends. I know you can do it. Subscribe if you're new. We'll catch you all later. Goodbye.
Peace.